Hello, this is Casey Dragon here. Welcome back to another video. Today I'll be covering over the Essence Shop tasks here, which have 6 different Essence Shops: the Dragon Essence Shop, the Ice Essence Shop, Spider Essence Shop, Undead Essence, Wither, and Crimson Essence Shops. Now, for every single one of these perks, you will see the XP gain for the first 2 levels is 2, and then at level 3 it's 3 XP, and then it goes to 5, and then 7. Now, it is the same for all of these. As you get to level 6, 7, and 8, you get 8 XP, and level 9, it's 9, and at level 10, you get 10 XP. No matter what, even if it's an expensive one, like the Help of the Fairies, will still only give you 2 Skyblock XP. Now to start with, I'll be going over the Dragon Essence Shop. To get here, you want to first come over to the End Island from the Spider's Den at Combat 12. You unlock this island. To get here, I'm going to go directly down this hole, as this is the quickest route here, through the Dragon's Gate into the Dragon's Nest, down here into the Void Slate, where there's the Zealot Bruiser hideout portals, and then in here you have the Draconic Altar and the Dragon Ritualist Taizo. He has 2 different options here: the Draconic Altar Guide, which will show you different things you can salvage here in his shop at the altar. And here's the Essence Shop, which is where you will spend all your Dragon Essence at for these 8 different perks. First, you have One Punch. I would highly recommend getting this one, as it will allow you to do extra damage. As you can see here, with mine being maxed out, I'll do an extra 2500 damage. Now, without having any pets on at all, no armor, and just my fist here, you'll see that when I punch a Zealot, that's a corrupted one. I don't know if I want to hit that. So when I punch a Zealot, I will do 6,397 damage on my first hit, but only 47 my normal on the second hit, because this is based on the first hit you do. So if you are struggling to one-tap any Zealot or any other Enderman, you can try investing into this, as you can salvage your Ender Armor pieces and Dragon Armor pieces here to get Essence. It shouldn't be that hard to get it early on, as well as dungeons. The next one here is Recharge, which will get you extra mana after killing an Enderman or Endermite. It's not very useful unless you're playing RCM, and even then, it's not that useful, except for maybe a little bit when you're spawning your mob. Seeing as you are using 150 mana per right-click ability with your Hyperion, 20 mana regen is not going to be that much. The next one here is Rageborn, which will give you Ferocity against dragons, which is useful when you're grinding out a lot of dragons, either for bestiary or you're summoning them yourselves, just to gamble around and have fun. Having the extra 10 Ferocity will help you get more damage quickly and be higher ranked on the leaderboard for the kill. The next perk here is Z-Luck, which is highly recommended that you get, especially since Zealots will spawn special ones to give you money, which is very useful early game, as some early methods you can do for money in the end are either mining the shiny blocks in the rest of the end, where there's all the normal Endermen, or killing Zealots and getting special Zealots. So since this will increase your chance by 10%, I would highly recommend getting this, and it'll be very helpful for making money to spend later. The next one here is the Ender Training, which will give you up to 7 combat wisdom when you're in the end, which is very useful to get your level up to 25 or whatever you're trying to get to, as well as when you're trying to grind out your Enderman Slayer, as you want to spawn those as fast as possible. At my point, with how much combat wisdom I can get, it'll only take me a couple seconds, even less than spawning the boss, if I'm using enough mini bosses. Now, the next thing here is the Infused Dragon perk, which will increase your crit damage of your Ender Dragon pet by 10 crit damage. This is only useful when you have an Ender Dragon pet. Otherwise, this is just useless for you to buy, and I would recommend going for the other ones first. The next thing here is the Two-Headed Strike, which will increase Renown and Spiked Reforged to apply an extra amount of attack speed, which is very useless because the only time you use Renowned or Spiked, mainly just Renowned, is if you're trying to get Magic Find. The only time you would maybe need the attack speed is if it is not one hit away, and you usually try to keep those mobs low when you're going for the Magic Find, as people do not wear their Magic Find set up the entire time, they swap to it. The last thing here is the Dragon Piper, which will give you plus 10% chance to spawn a Superior Dragon if you place a Summoning Eye. You only need one person who's placing a Summoning Eye to have this perk, otherwise you do not need this. So The only reason to get this is if you yourself plan to summon with a bunch of random people and you do not trust that they have this perk, or if you want the Skyblock XP. The next way to gain Essence Shop here XP is from the Ice Essence Shop. Now this has 4 different things that will give you Skyblock XP, and there's a 5th thing to buy, the Experience 5 book, which will cost you 15,000 Ice Essence. To get Ice Essence, you either get it from Frozen Adventures inside of dungeons, or from fishing now in the Jerry Island. The perks it has here is the Cooled Forges, which will get you 4 to 20% chance to get double essence when salvaging, which is insanely useful as you are often salvaging Undead Essence, Wither Essence, and Crimson Essence when you're doing fishing in the Crimson Isle or any dungeons, and getting double will help you make a lot more money while you're doing these. The next thing here, Season of Joy. This is not very useful unless you do gift attack, as it gives you 1 to 10% extra gifts from the gift attack. However, past that, it is just useful for the 62 Skyblock XP you can get from it for a total of 23,000 Wither Ice Essence. And the next one here, Cold Efficiency, is very useful for doing dungeons, as it will increase your mage class experience by 2 to 10% for a 12,500 total Ice Essence, getting it to level 5. I recommend getting this if you play mage a lot, or if you do not play mage a lot and you want to level that up for the class average. The last one here is the Frozen Skin, and the Frozen Skin is pretty useless for the 12,500 Ice Essence it costs, as your defense doesn't really matter as much when it's only getting increased by 2 to 10, when even right now, without any armor on, I'm currently sitting here with over 230 defense, so that extra 10 defense is not going to make that much of a difference. Now, the next type of essence here, the Spider Essence Shop, can be found in the Spider's Den here. When you go all the way over to the Arachne's Burrow and follow this route, or another route works, there's the one here, it's just pretty quick to get there, and I have it memorized. Now, when you come over here to Arachne's Sanctuary, there is this NPC here called the Spider Tamer, and when you click on him, he has his Spider Essence Shop with 5 different things to purchase. 4 of them are perks, which will give you Skyblock XP, and the last one is just a travel scroll to get here, which you need MVP Plus to use. Now, these perks here have the Empowered Agility, which will reduce the mana cost of some movement abilities by up to 10%. This is pretty useful if you need to save your mana, or if you're playing something that does not give you very much mana, and you have to do damage, but still need to be able to teleport around. The next ability here and the next 2 after that are very useful for Spider Slayer, and also just trying to level up your combat while in here to get to the End Island. You have the Vermin Control and Bane, which will increase and decrease your damage to and from the spiders. From any spiders, this one will make you receive less damage, making it easier to survive your bosses, and this one will increase your damage, making it easier to kill it. This one right here will give you extra combat wisdom up to 10 while on the Spider's Den, which will make it much easier to spawn your bosses and to level up your combat. Alright, the next 2 essence shops I will be covering are the Undead and Wither Essence shops, as they are both found here in the Dungeon Hub. And when you come over here, there is Malik the Blacksmith, who has it right on this bottom corner, the Essence shop, which has the Undead and Wither Essence shop. The Undead Essence shop is only really used for inside dungeons, as it will increase your loot and your stats only inside of the dungeons. Meanwhile, the Wither Essence shop will increase your stats everywhere and your blessings effectiveness inside dungeons. Now, in the Undead Essence shop, there's the Infinite Boom, which does not give you any Skyblock XP for buying, however, is a very useful item to use for getting secrets and crypts. After that, there is Boss Luck. I would highly recommend getting this, as getting your increased quality of boss rewards will help you make more money when you get a good drop and get extra stars or enchants on it, or even a rarity upgrade. Looting is not as useful because armor pieces do not sell for much, even if they're upgraded rarity from 50 out of 50%, or recombobulated, they still only sell for around a couple 100,000 coins each, except for very rare ones like Skeleton Lord from floor 7. The next one here is Help of the Fairies, which will let you start every run with an invisible revive stone that does not take up inventory space, However, due to the cost for only 2 Skyblock XP, I did not find it very worth it to get unless you are completely done with other cheaper things to get. And the next thing here is the Health Essence, which will increase your health by a certain amount inside the dungeons, followed by the Defense, Strength, Intelligence, and Crit Damage ones, which will all increase your stats by a set amount when inside the dungeon. Now, the other Essence shop here, the Wither Essence shop, will increase your health, defense, speed, intelligence, and strength in the entire game. So this stat right here is applied even if I'm not inside a dungeon. For all of these, well, very low numbers, they are still going to give you some extra Skyblock XP. And this one right here, the Forbidden Blessing, I would highly recommend getting this before any of the other stats, as this will make it much easier for you to do dungeons, especially in the boss fight after you have all these blessings active, as they will be giving you bonus stats using this. Now, the final essence shop here is the Crimson Essence, which can be found over at the Forgotten Skull in the wasteland behind the giant volcano, which is not rendering on my screen, on the Crimson Isle. Now, when you come over here, you have both the Kruger guy right here to start your Kruger runs, the perk menu right there, preview, and then you have this guy right here, which will tell you your Crimson Essence shop has 2 different sections. You have this section here for the Kuja boss fight, and this section here, which is useful in the Crimson Isle Island. So for the Kuja boss fight, some highly recommended ones to get would be Head Start and Fresh Tools. However, all of these are really useful. Head Start will give you extra tokens from 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 extra tokens when you start the boss fight. And at 50, that lets you set your perk, as you can see right here. When I preview these all cost 50 tokens to unlock, and using this will get you these instantly purchased as soon as you get it. You don't just have to open up the shop. The next one here I'm going to go over is the Strong Arm. Your fishing rod will pull supplies and fuel cells closer to you by a set percentage during the boss fight, which makes it much quicker when you're starting out to get the supplies close to you before the tentacle spawn, so you can get them for a quick build on the ballista. Which, speaking of building the ballista, the fresh tools here will give you a chance to double the speed repairing L's ballista for 5 seconds through the Kuja boss fight, which is insanely useful when you're using the specialist route, as you have the perk Ballista Mechanic, which will increase how fast you do the building, and having it double will be insanely useful. The final one here for inside of Kuja is the Kuja Master perk here, which will increase your damage to Kuja minions multiplied by highest defeated wave in that tier or higher up to 10% or wave 100. So now having up to 10% more damage is going to be a big boost, especially when you get to stuff like Burning, Fiery, and Infernal Kuja, where you need to have thousands of mana and ability damage to be able to do enough damage to kill everything. It is very difficult to one-tap things on Fire and Infernal unless you have a high stats from Aurora Armor or other ability perks. The Crimson Essence shop for the Crimson Isle here has these ones, and this section right here, I'll kind of divide them here. These ones right here will give you Mining Fortune for mining sand, red sand, and mycelium, which is useful when you're getting your collections up. After that, not as much. However, these still give you up to 62 XP as they are level 10s. So getting these is very useful for XP, as it only costs you maybe 30 to 40 million coins, and you get all that XP. Plus, you get the Mining Fortune for these non-ores, which normal Mining Fortune does not apply to. So the only other way you can get Mining Fortune on non-ores for red sand and mycelium is with a snail pet. The next two here are the Crimson Training here, which will increase your combat wisdom by 10 on the Crimson Isle and in the Kuja boss fight, which is useful for grinding flares when leveling up a G-Drag and grinding your Blaze Slayer bosses, as you do not need to kill as much, because those things have a lot of XP needed and not much gained from killing the mobs. The Wither Piper here will increase your chance of finding Vanquishers on the Crimson Isle, which is very useful when you start needing to lead a lot of Kuja teeth, and any other Cujo drops as well, because this will help you get your keys from your faction shop, allowing you to make more money. And that is all from this shop and all for the rest of this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.